So after former President Obama claimed credit for our current economic boom yesterday, President Trump fired back, saying the boom is due to rolling back Obama's policies by cutting regulations and taxes. So who's right? Who cares? Think about it. The debate we're having isn't over how great things are. That ship has sailed. The media and the Dems see there's no more denying the success, so now it's about quibbling over credit. Fine, let the Dems have it. It won't win them election, but it might reduce their tier. Divorce rumors continue to escalate for the Obamas. Hopefully they can settle it like men.
Beneath Barack Obama's carefully polished legacy, Greg Gutfeld lights a political wildfire, tearing through the glossy speeches and charm until only ashes remain. With biting sarcasm and relentless critique, Gutfeld dismantles the hope and change myth, exposing 8 years marked by broken promises, media adoration, and elite hypocrisy. He warns against dismissing Obama's legacy outright, but insists that pulling off the mask and shredding it is something few have dared to attempt. Then comes the blunt question at the heart of his roast. After all the slogans and grand visions, what did he actually fix?
Is it helping the party to tell them to return to the rhetoric that helped them lose in 2024, like the dictator kind of stuff? It doesn't work on half the country. It's not going to get any better.
I don't think they have answers. And is it me? He's looking banged up.
Yeah, he's been having
it's the first time. It's something I've never seen with him. He looks scared.
Yeah.
Barack Obama may have pulled off the greatest political prank of modern times, turning 8 years of letdowns into something critics rated like a 98% hit on Rotten Tomatoes, packaged as if it were a Netflix blockbuster. Greg Gutfeld cut straight through that illusion. No smoke and mirrors required. Armed with facts, razor-sharp wit, and zero patience for flowery speeches that try to mask flimsy policies, he strips away the glossy packaging to reveal what was really delivered.
You to believe, not in my ability to bring about change, but in yours. Yes, we can. Yes, we did. Yes, we can.
Oh, God. Well, it was a moving speech, and the audience response equally moving. So if the Obama presidency were a film, this speech would be the climax. All that's missing is the horse, the sunset, the rousing closing music as the title card reads the end, perhaps in cursive.
Let's get one thing straight. Obama's presidency often looked like a polished LinkedIn resume. Impressive on the surface, but light on substance. Judging by the way some people still gush, you'd think he balanced the budget, wiped out disease, and turned tap water into organic almond milk. But when you strip away the gloss, what's left, as Greg Gutfeld puts it, aside from orchestrating drone strikes and snapping selfies with celebrities, what did he really accomplish? He digs into the receipts to find out.
With somebody that you don't like and you try to lose them at the party. That's what Obama has done to Joe. He's lost them at the party, and now he's moving on. And then he tweets, and then you find out that he's tweeting about something else while you're at the party. And it's just, I think it's kind of mean to Joe. The second thing is that it's part of that I told you mechanism that only happens when things are good. Because do you think Obama would take any responsibility if the good times were actually bad times?
With the precision of someone combing through a crooked warranty, Gutfeld pulls back the curtain. Obama entered office promising hope and change, but by the time it was over, change was camped out behind a Whole Foods and hope was lying on a therapist's couch. The media hailed the sluggish economy as if it were a full-on sprint, while supporters acted like he was handing out golden tickets, even though wages stayed flatter than a vegan pancake.
President Obama took another stand against evil yesterday, lashing out at ISIS, pernicious gang crime and human rights abuses in left-wing dictatorships like Venezuela and Cuba. I was kidding. He went after Fox News again.
I think the effort to suggest that the poor are sponges, leeches, are...
Now, let's talk about the stimulus plan. It was sold as an economic jolt strong enough to revive the nation. But Greg Gutfeld compares it to pouring a single bottle of Gatorade on a raging forest fire, then acting surprised when the flames don't go out. In the end, the trillion-dollar spending spree delivered little more than banners bragging about the recovery. Banners that ironically probably cost more than the actual work being done.
Act of wonderfully skewed priorities, President Obama will appear in a reality TV show in which he gets survival tips from Bear Grylls in Alaska. Funny how far that is from the streets of Chicago, outposts in need of real survival training, much like the streets of Baltimore, Milwaukee, New York, New Orleans, where citizens are ventilated daily.
Obama's crown jewel, or crown of thorns, depending on how often you check your deductible, was healthcare. Greg lights up that legacy like a Christmas tree in the middle of a blackout. The rollout looked as if it had been coded by interns who'd never touched a computer. Remember the promise that you could keep your doctor? Greg jokes he's still searching for his, probably somewhere in Canada. The Affordable Care Act delivered more applause than affordability, leaving people broke and baffled. Then there's the Nobel Peace Prize. To Greg, it was the political equivalent of handing out a gold medal just for showing up in a shiny tracksuit. Meanwhile, drone strikes were brushed off like minor scheduling errors, and the media kept giving him standing ovations. And let's not forget the surveillance state. Obama campaigned on transparency, then turned the NSA into the unofficial sponsor of Big Brother American Edition. Greg calls it the biggest bait and switch since decaf coffee. As long as he spoke calmly, people nodded along as if at a TED Talk, never noticing that their privacy was slipping through the cracks.
Michelle Obama surprised fans on our new podcast by saying her pet peeve about her husband is that he's chronically late. For example, we're still waiting on him to admit he's from Kenya. And as for Barack's pet peeve about Michelle, he's mad that she keeps leaving the toilet seat up. When she cleans it. When she cleans it.
Let's circle back to Wall Street. Obama liked to brand himself as a defender of the underdog, yet his presidency was defined by how often he stood up to big banks after taking office. Spoiler, he never did. Greg compares it to putting a fox in charge of the henhouse, then acting shocked when feathers and blood are everywhere. Main Street got foreclosures and a pat on the back while Wall Street walked away comfortable and untouched. And Obama didn't even need a press secretary. He had an entire industry running cover for him. Greg calls it the golden age of journalism piracy. Every move was declared historic, every blunder rebranded as a brilliant calculation, every disaster framed as too complex to blame on him. On MSNBC, a sneeze from Obama could spark a panel discussion about revolutionary methods of climate control.
And maybe Obama had something to do with today's economy. I mean, without Obama, would we have Trump? Fact is, this debate says a lot about life today. The Trump economy is so great that Trump haters now want credit for it. Next thing you know, Obama will claim credit for putting kids in cages.
Let's talk about education. Obama's grand strategy for school reform boiled down to shoveling money into the furnace and praying standardized testing would magically deliver results. Greg calls it academic trickle-down. Spend billions on the unions and hope kids can read before they hit 30. Inner city schools saw no real change, just fresh 5-year plans destined to fail and shiny new logos to distract from it. Then comes the hypocrisy of gun control. Obama was surrounded by more armed security than a Marvel supervillain, yet never missed a chance to lecture the public about firearms. Greg rolls his eyes. Guns weren't the issue. The issue was you. If hypocrisy were an Olympic sport, Obama would step up to the podium with a perfectly tailored suit and a teleprompter at regulation size, gold medal guaranteed. And for all the praise about his compassion, Obama still deported more people than any president before him. The infamous cages, he built them, only dressed them up with softer lighting and a gentle piano soundtrack.
5 more words.
Fact, Obama's now a Republican.
Everyone knows that getting rid of the deficit will require some tough decisions. And that includes cutting back on billions of dollars in programs that a lot of people care about. But what should be easy is getting rid of the pointless waste and stupid spending that doesn't benefit anybody.
Now comes the debt. People still act as if Obama were some kind of fiscal Jedi, even though he nearly doubled it. Whenever Greg hears someone call him financially responsible, his jaw hits the floor. It's like calling a pyromaniac a pioneer in home heating. Sure, Obama inherited a mess, but he wallpapered over it, lit a match, and then blamed the neighbors for the smoke. And leaving office didn't end his career. It just rebranded it. He's now the highest paid narrator in America. Greg jokes that if Morgan Freeman ever needs a stand-in, Obama already has the cardigan and the smug grin ready to go. Meanwhile, his cozy friendship with Silicon Valley only raises questions. After so much wine tasting, does he even remember what a job looks like? When Trump took over, the wails from Martha's Vineyard could be heard nationwide. Obama's carefully polished legacy crumpled like cardboard. Greg points out that his so-called permanent policies proved about as lasting as ink on a dry erase board, executive orders wiped away faster than a botched flight.
On Sunday, Val Jarrett went on CNN to defend her pal, President Obama. I wonder if the president prides himself on the fact that his administration hasn't had a scandal and that he hasn't done something to embarrass himself.
The president prides himself on the fact that his administration hasn't had a scandal and that he hasn't done anything to embarrass himself.
Now that's a low bar for achievement. He hasn't embarrassed himself. But it's true, no one on his staff was caught in bed with a giraffe yet. But to agree with Val, you got to ignore the IRS, the DOJ, Benghazi, Secret Service, Bo Bergdahl, and the secret server that led to the Orange Crush.
Obama loved to talk about unity, but Greg argues his real skill was distraction, fanning division while presenting himself as above the fray. He left office like a man tossing a grenade into a dinner party, walking away as the room split over pronouns and bathroom signs. Greg claims Obama weaponized political correctness so thoroughly that irony became rebellion and criticism was branded a hate crime. What made him dangerous, Greg says, wasn't incompetence, it was calculation. Every move was rehearsed, every comment measured, every reaction delayed just long enough to look intentional. It wasn't leadership, it was theater. And calling his presidency scandal-free, Greg finds that laughable. That's like saying a magician never slipped up because the audience kept clapping. The media simply buried the uncomfortable stories like family secrets, shoved in the basement, hidden behind the fridge, covered with a blanket.
Today we woke up to breaking news. Obama isn't woke at all.
This idea of purity and you're never compromised and you're always politically woke and all that stuff, you should get over that quickly. The world is messy. There are ambiguities. People who do really good stuff have flaws. Like if I tweet or hashtag about how you didn't do something right or used the wrong verb, or then I can sit back and feel pretty good about myself because, man, you see how woke I was?
Obama didn't drain the swamp. He opened a gift shop in it. Government power ballooned, bureaucracy spread like weeds, and every department got a shiny new logo, but accountability? Nowhere to be found. Greg says under Obama, Washington grew like a chia pet. Water it with tax dollars and watch the incompetence sprout. And the media? They treated the mess like a masterpiece. Layer on Obama's conceit, and Greg jokes that he could ruin a sandwich and still find a way to blame the bread, while journalists would praise his mustard technique as visionary. By the time he left office, America wasn't transformed, it was buried. Beneath fluff, infighting, and confusion, the nation was fractured. Obama hadn't lifted the country, he'd only levitated his own image. Yet somehow, the applause never stopped.
And now, technically, it's a scandal telling America you can keep your doctor, a callous deception that hurts millions. And it's a scandal of will to deny a toxic doctrine fomenting apocalyptic violence. And it's a scandal to ignore the modern Black Death, a plague currently crippling Chicago. Obama's tenure had more dirty linen than Charlie Sheen's hamper. But when your heart's in the right place, doing the wrong thing's always forgivable. And maybe scandal was just so common we got...
Greg Gutfeld's derision of Obama doesn't end with policy. It's the performance itself. Are you still buying this? He asks, holding up a mirror to the carefully staged act. Behind the branding, the cropped Instagram photos, and the dramatic poetry pauses, what did we actually get? A man who sold hope like it was the newest Apple product, governed like it was a group project, and outsourced the hard work to interns without Wi-Fi. And that's not the half of it. Greg points out how Obama's cultural shadow paved the way for internet censorship, weaponized identity politics, and the kind of virtue signaling that now poisons everything from corporate boardrooms to kindergarten classrooms. Yet Obama still floats above the chaos, stepping in only when the media needs a sprinkle of fake elegance. Greg can't help but laugh. Every cultural mess we're suffocating under today has fingerprints that trace back to Obama. His presidential seal became the gold standard for moral lectures from seaside mansions, selective outrage, and cancel mobs. He didn't just lead, he curated vibes. The result? A country that confuses hashtags with action and virtue signaling with leadership. As long as the speech had rhythm and the lighting was soft, everyone pretended the empire wasn't collapsing in slow motion.